speaking here once again to Jack Brisco. We're down here in Florida. Jack, we hear that you and Jerry have decided to team up once in a while now. Could you clue us in on this?
Yes, we've teamed up on just some occasions. Mostly we want to stay as a single in order to try to get back to the and forming a team. But right now, just once in a while when the situation arises.
Okay, what's going on now with the Funks and the Briscoes? That seems to be making news even on the East Coast.
Well, I've been trying to get a match with him, with Dory Funk Jr., and I wrestled him on a couple occasions to a draw. And his father thinks that I've had enough matches with him already, and they don't feel that I should have any more. So Dory Funk Sr. and also the younger brother Terry has been trying to come down here and try to defeat me in order to keep me away from Dory Funk Jr.
Do you feel you have to go through them to get at Dory now that he's avoiding a match?
That's certainly true, because his father has told Dory Jr. that he can't have any more title matches with me until I prove myself to either Terry or Dory Sr. So if this is the way I'm going to have to go through it to get to Dory Jr., then I'm perfectly willing to do so.
Okay, now there was something we had heard about, that Jack Brisco wrestled Dory Funk Jr. in a non-title match due to something Tarzan Tyler did, and you beat Dory Funk Jr. in about 20 minutes. Could you explain how this came about, why it wasn't a title match, etc.?
Well, the reason it wasn't a title match was because he was scheduled to wrestle Tarzan Tyler for the championship that night. When Tyler got hurt in an earlier match, and promoter Eddie Graham asked me if I would be interested in taking Tyler's place in the match, but it wouldn't be a title match due to I hadn't signed a contract for it. So I agreed to this, and I was able to defeat Funk.
Okay, now you're familiar with wrestling all over the country. What was your reaction when you heard that after 8 years Bruno Sammartino had been pinned by Ivan Koloff?
Well, to be real truthful with you, I just couldn't believe it. Like you said, Sammartino's been champion for so long, and such a great athlete and a great wrestler, that I was beginning to believe almost that he was unbeatable and retire as world's champion, but it didn't happen that way.
Right. Okay, Jack, if you should beat Dory Funk Jr. for the title, and so far you look like the best candidate for it, do you feel that you would go around the coast, like to the AWA and the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, and try and get a match where you could settle the championship question once and for all?
I think that would be exactly what I would do. Of course, I'm speaking maybe a little off base here, because my number one worry is now to win the title, and I'd be more than happy to wrestle anyone in the entire world for it.
Okay, Jack, here's a feature we like to do on the show. Who are Jack Briscoe's idols? Who did you pattern your style after? Who did you look up to?
Well, that's an easy question. I believe that Lou Thez was probably the man I was mostly impressed with, and right alongside with Eddie Graham.
Right. Jack, what do you like to do in your spare time? Jack Briscoe have any hobbies?
Well, I'm a sun worshiper, and I like to lay out in the sun, and I chord a little bit on the guitar. That's about it.
Okay, Jack, do you have a favorite tag team partner when you're wrestling in this part of the country?
Well, I wrestle a lot team up a lot with Eddie Graham. He was my favorite partner.
Right, and finally, we'd like to get your opinion of several of the wrestlers around this part of the country. What's your opinion of Boris Malenko?
Well, he's a very tough wrestler and a very capable competitor, and although I don't agree with his tactics, you have to respect the man for his ability in the ring.
Okay, Tarzan Tyler.
Well, I feel exactly the same way about Tyler. I have no use for either one of them, really.
All right, one last question, which we've asked all the wrestlers in this immediate area. The outcome of a match between Dory Funk Jr. and Pedro Morales, could you predict something like that? Any...
Well, I couldn't make any predictions because I don't know Pedro Morales. I've never seen him wrestle, although I know of his reputation quite well, and he must be a great and fantastic wrestler. But I don't know him personally or his ability. But I do know Funk's, and if Morales is anywhere as good as Funk, it would be one match to see. I would love to see anywhere.
Okay, Jack, for the last feature, could you tell us, do you remember what your first match was, who it was against, and what was the outcome?
I wrestled Ronnie Garvin in Oklahoma City, my first match. It was in July of '65, and I defeated him.
Okay, well, much luck to you, and we'll look forward to you defeating Dory Funk Jr. eventually and becoming the new world's heavyweight champion.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Jack.